Yeah. Oh, I love it. Good morning, everybody. And welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church West. On perhaps our last warm, glorious fall day. Oh, I hope not. We are located in Brookfield, Wisconsin, on land formerly inhabited by the native peoples of the Seven Council Fires: Ho-Chunk, Kickapoo, Potawatomi, Menominee, Peoria, and Miami nations. And of these, only the Forest County Potawatomi community currently has rights to less than 7 acres of trust land in the vicinity. So we offer gratitude to all of the peoples who have cared for and continue to care for this land where we make our home. Let us pledge ourselves to working for reconciliation and good relations with all the original peoples of this place. Whoever you are, from wherever you come, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, however you define family, you are welcome. The identities you hold, how you want to be called, and your pronouns are respected and welcome here. Whatever color your skin, the language your grandparents spoke, the cultures that move in your being, the abilities and disabilities you hold, we welcome you. We welcome all of you. My name is Lynn Capitan. My pronouns are she and her. And I am both a long-serving member of the stewardship team and a newly appointed member of the Board of Trustees. And this is my second time on the board. I served about 16 or 17 years ago, I think. It was before the iPhone came out and before Twitter and Uber and Airbnb. And I looked this up. In 2006, the most common password that people used was 123456. The simplicity of those times. And if you haven't changed your password since then, you should change it. But I very much look forward into the future, and I hope to be of help in UUCW's ministerial and hopefully post-pandemic transition. Today, we continue our conversations about being a people of courage, people who might even have the courage to fail. Perhaps you've already experienced failure this morning, not getting up on time, or a failed attempt to remember a password, to act with kindness, perhaps, or to change an unhealthy habit, or establish a new one. Whatever your failures, you succeeded in being present this morning, and that matters. Welcome to the celebration of our imperfect humanity. If you're visiting us, we hope that you will feel at home here. If you'd like to connect further or ask a question, talk to us after the service, or send us an email at visitor@uucw.org. You can also fill out one of the yellow forms in your offer of service today and drop it in the offering basket. That yellow paper also has a place to share a joy or concern that you're carrying with you today. It builds relationship and community to share, so we encourage you to do so each week. An usher can easily get you a pencil if you need one, and those can be placed in the offering basket later, or you can at any time go over to the side table and put it in the box, or simply take a moment to light a candle there. There is an activity table right over there, set up for those of any age to find something to color or to keep your hands busy as you listen. The community room is also available where you can stretch and move while also being able to view and hear the service. So please use either of these spaces to enhance your morning here if you'd like. After the story time, those who are in grades 8 through and younger are invited to go with our religious education leaders to their own time and space. And Dave Cicero, our Director of Lifespan Learning, will, and along with us, welcome you. As we've said for several weeks, we are almost ready to open the nursery again, but we've been held up because we need to hire a lead caregiver. If you know anyone who might be interested in that position, please contact Dave Cicero. His email can be found in your order of service. And when we're able to find that person or regular volunteers, we will again offer nursery service. Of course, all ages and voices are welcome here in the sanctuary at any time. Now, among our announcements, I have a really important one, very special. Next week, we will have a special guest speaker. Reverend Lisa Presley is going to be with us actually for the entire weekend because she's part of our planning on how to best use our interim ministry time. So she will be here working with Reverend Julie, the board, the transition team, and the staff on Friday and Saturday, and then she'll come and preach on Sunday. And she has offered to facilitate a time for you and your questions about that whole process following the service. So we hope that you'll stay after next week as a way to better understand what lies ahead for us. And then quickly, I just have one more announcement to highlight. I actually was reminded this morning that when I was on the board 15 years ago, the announcements actually were longer. That's what I was told. But anyway, what I really want to highlight is let's see, where did it go? The auction. The auction is one of our major fundraisers, and it is taking place November 9th through 12th. It's an online auction, and we will also have on the 12th, we'll be opening it up to a live auction, live Facebook hosted auction. But what we need your attention for is that if you have any ideas for items that you would like to donate, we would sincerely and truly appreciate that you let us know and send those items in. There's going to be a special email coming out, I think, on Tuesdays where the form will be, and you can just click on it and send it in, and that would be great. And also, a number of people here, let's see, Jeannie Baker's here, I believe, and I on the stewardship committee. Just talk to us after the service. If you don't have any ideas or you need some inspiration, we have tons of ideas, and we can help you think of an item that you can donate. And then finally, I hear that today or soon is the last day of the seasons for Alsom's vegetable stand in the west parking lot. So that's a reminder to visit them after the service and thank them for bringing us such a harvest this year. I hope that each of you feel welcome and prepared. Let's enter our time of worship together by singing a joyous song of this morning. Please rise in body and or spirit and sing Morning Has Come, the first song in the Teal hymnal. This will be a great time to practice failing as we try to reach for those high notes.
Out of breath. I love that song. You may be familiar with what are called the Beatitudes, words of blessing said to be offered by Jesus to a crowd of followers gathered on a hillside. A blessing for risk takers and failures was written by Robin Tanner. And again this week, we're experimenting with putting up slides with pictures of authors and composers. These are visible only to those in the sanctuary, with apologies to those online. And do let us know if you like this practice. I often offer Reverend Tanner's words as our invocation today, Beatitudes for when we fall short. a blessing for losers, risk takers, and all failures far and wide. Blessed are they who fall in the mud, who jump with gusto and rip the pants, who skin the elbows and bruise the ego, for they shall know the sweetness of risk. Blessed are they who make giant mistakes, whose intentions are good but impact has injured, who know the hot sense of regret and ask for mercy, for their hearts will know the gift of forgiveness. Blessed are they who have seen a D or an F or a C or any letter less than perfect, who are painfully familiar with the red pen and the labels as less than, for they know the wisdom in the imperfect. Blessed are they who try again, who dust off, who wash up, who extend the wish for peace, who return to sites of failure, who are dogged in their pursuit, for they will discover the secret to dreams. Blessed are they who refuse to listen to the naysayers, for their hearts will be houses for hope. Blessed are they who see beyond the surface of another, for they will be able to delight in the gift of compassion. Blessed are they who stop running the race to help a fellow traveler, who pick up the fallen, who stop for injured life, for they shall know the kindness of strangers. Blessed are they who wildly, boldly abandon winning, for they shall know the path of justice. While when we fail, then we shall know wisdom and hope and kindness and dreams and justice. May this encouragement to have the courage to fail guide us in our worship this morning.
And drawn together by its warmth. Today's chalice lighting words are adapted from a quote by Howard Thurman, who was an author, philosopher, theologian, educator, and civil rights leader. He asked us to look well to the growing edge, saying that all around us, worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. All around us, life is dying and life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree. The roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth against the time when there shall be new leaves, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge. Please join me in speaking his inspirational words, reminding us to look up and forward, especially after making mistakes or failing. Such is the growing edge. It is the extra breath from the exhausted lung. It is one more thing to try when all else has failed. The upward reach of life when weariness closes upon us endeavor. Such is the growing edge. It is the basis of hope in moments of despair, the incentive to carry on when times are out of joint and we have lost our reason. Look well to the growing edge. We light our chalice. That is, its light and its resilience may turn us toward that growing edge. Thank you.
So this morning I get to share the story with you because, well, Dave was going to be gone. He's here today after all, but the plan was that he was going to be gone, and so I get to read the story. And the story for today is this one, The Most Magnificent Thing by Ashley Spires. And this is a story about a regular girl and her best friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race around, they eat stuff, they explore, they relax. She makes things, and he unmakes things. And if you have a best friend like that, you know how that goes. And one day, the girl has a really great idea, and it's about making the most magnificent thing. She has some ideas about how it will look and how it will work. It seemed to her that it would be pretty easy to make. So first, she hires an assistant. Now, there was an inside candidate. You know what that is. And then they gather their supplies, and they find a convenient place to work. And they find that the middle of a sidewalk will do just fine. So they get to work hammering and tinkering, and well, that's what the girl does. Her assistant just pounces around and growls and chews. And when it's finished, the girl steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side of it. Her assistant examines the other side, and something just doesn't look right. And they're kind of shocked to discover that the thing isn't really magnificent or good. It isn't even sort of okay. It's really all wrong. It's a failure. And so she tosses it aside and she decides to give it another go. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles, and her assistant circles around and tugs and wags. And when she's finished with this new version, she stands up, she takes a look at it again, her assistant gives it a nudge. Failed again, the thing is still wrong. So, take 3. The girl saws and glues and adjusts, she twists and tweaks and fastens and fixes and straightens and studies, and she tries all kinds of ways to make it better. She makes it square. She makes it round. She gives it legs. She adds antennae. She makes it smooth, small, big. She makes one with wheels. She makes it long, short, rough, and even makes it play music. She makes it fuzzy and one that smells of stinky cheese. But none of them are magnificent. Now, her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they can't see the magnificent thing she had in mind. And she gets mad. The angrier she gets, the faster she moves. She smashes all her creations into pieces, and she tries to jam the parts together. Her hands just feel too big to do the work. Her brain is too full of all the not right things. If only this thing would just work. Crunch. The pain starts in her finger. It rushes up to her brain. And she explodes. It was not her finest moment. I am no good at this, she says. I'm a failure and I quit. Her assistant suggests a walk. It really isn't much help at first, but before long and bit by bit, the mad and the sense of failure get pushed out of her head. And as she strolls along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made and starts to feel bad all over again. And then she notices something surprising. You know, there are some parts of the wrong things that are really quite right. The bolts in one, the shape of another, the wheel-to-seat ratio of the next. There are all sorts of parts that she likes. And by the time she reaches the end of that trail of her detritus, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent, and so she gets to work, carefully and slowly, tinkering and hammering and twisting and fiddling and gluing and painting. All the while, of course, her assistant is right there to make sure that there are no distractions. And finally she finishes. She alerts her assistant, and the pair take a good, long look. It does lean a little bit to the left, and it's a little bit heavier than expected. The color could use a little bit of work too, but it's just what she wanted. And so they climb aboard and they take it for a spin, and they are not disappointed. It really is the most magnificent thing. The end. So before we sing, Fifi is going to come and light the chalice to go with the children. Yeah, come on up. Take some light and then we'll sing. You ready? Open the door. You got it? Can you open the door? Oh, you got it? Okay. Oh no, where's the light? Well, it's supposed to have light. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go. I can really identify with that regular girl who makes things. I'm not afraid of tools. I like making plans to create something, yet I'm very often disappointed with the results. And you know that disappointment can lead to decisions to not try things again. And choosing not to try things leads me to further disappointment in myself. I wonder if we can forgive ourselves for our fears. I wonder if that forgiveness might help us to find some courage to try. Perhaps you're familiar with this bit of verse attributed to various folks, including Leo Buscaglia. To do is to be. It says, to laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk exposing our true self. To place our ideas, our dreams before the crowd is to risk loss. To risk to love. To love is to risk not being loved in return. Risk must be taken because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. There's a sung meditation in the teal hymnal, and the text is also found in a reading in the gray hymnal. And this was written by Reverend Rob Eller Isaacs, may he rest in peace, who ministered for many years at Unitarian in St. Paul and who died recently. With humility and great respect for this former colleague, I've adapted his words for today. I'm going to ask you to sing the response. The sung response is the same each time, so you don't have to turn to it in the hymnal. The words are, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. Reuben and I will lead you and invite you to join in that sung response as you're comfortable doing so. We begin again in love. For failing to speak up when a single voice would have made a difference, especially when racism or other oppressions are causing harm. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. for failing to overcome our fear of not doing it right, fear that has made us rigid or inaccessible. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For failing to practice kindness and for reacting in anger, even sometimes without just cause. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For failing to notice the needs of others and for failing to be our most generous selves. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For failing to risk our vulnerability by not sharing our true selves. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For failing to allow the joy of silliness and laughter into our lives. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For failing to love, for fear of not being loved in return. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For allowing failure to keep us from hoping, from trying again, and from engaging fully with life, however risky that may be. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves for our failures, even as we move to embracing those failures as necessary and helpful lessons. As we enter a time of silence, I remind you that if you wish to share joy or sorrow with me or with this, your beloved community, please share it on one of the yellow program inserts. Let's take some time for personal prayer or meditation until the bell rings, and then you can bring yourself back to this time and space. A moment of silence.
My name is Lori Bodie, and my pronouns are she and hers. This reading, A Recipe for Resilience, was written by Margaret Weiss. Weiss writes, "This recipe has been tweaked over time, so go ahead and adjust it as necessary. Sometimes it yields more servings than anticipated, and sometimes it needs a bit more of this ingredient or that. It comes from generations who've gone before me, and I've added my own flavor along the way. Here's the recipe for resilience. 1 part courage, 2 parts tears of failure and doubt, 1 part deep listening, 1 part each of both silence and laughter, a dash of trust, a pinch of wonder, a heaping scoop of naps and snacks. In a separate bowl, mix together family, friends, and those who challenge you to be your very best self, those with whom you disagree. Add slowly to the larger pot, and add a bay leaf for, well, whatever it is that bay leaves actually do. And let it simmer for as long as you need, which is often longer than you realize or anticipate. Keep that heat at an even temperature, hot enough to cook throughout, but not so hot that it burns the bottom. Now, this can be served at room temperature, warm, or even cold if necessary. Serve it alongside your favorite soft blanket, dog, cat, or other soft item. Make it often. Share it with others. And hold on to those leftovers, for you'll need them after a long day that challenges your soul.
Thanks, Lori. Yum. I'm getting kind of hungry. Got to get me some of that resilience, I guess. I was inspired to speak about the courage to fail when attending a minister's brainstorming session about this monthly theme. A colleague threw it out as a potential topic, but in the fast-moving discussion, there was no further talk of it. I took a quick note, later realized that this idea, having the courage to fail, was calling to me. I chose, without much thought, to respond to that call. And then I started my research, beginning with Google, and the top hits were mostly about how to embrace failure as a way to succeed in business, to climb the ladder, to achieve perfection. And while I instinctively recoiled from those ubiquitous cultural messages about winning, I also began to wonder if underlying my interest in this topic were my own internalized versions of those messages. Shoot. Do I, subconsciously even, want to get courageous in the face of failure in order to reach some individualistic or competitive goal? Do I want to learn things in the sole interest of succeeding for succeeding's sake? Do I imagine that if I could just fail better, then I could get closer to being good and perfect? I don't. Really, I don't. But I also recognize my susceptibility to feeling like I've failed. In this case, at choosing a sermon topic. Internal message: I'm no good at this. I should stop preaching ever. Just don't do it. It took a little digging and persistent reflection to find a deeper and more meaningful perspective on courageously embracing failure. So take a deep breath. I'm going to try to lead you there, crossing my fingers that I'll succeed at least a little, or that I'll learn from my failure, and that somehow you'll be okay with that. I wonder how you look at failure or failures in your life. I think in looking back, there's this potential to have a somewhat more positive outlook than when looking toward future failures. In the rearview mirror, we might see that what we perceived as a failure at the time led to an unexpected blessing or outcome. Or it's possible that revisiting the regret we felt for not having tried or for something we failed to do might provide a helpful incentive to try next time. But in looking forward, either to some upcoming intimidating obstacle or even to that next really small step right in front of us, it's more likely that we'll be stymied by the fear of failure. What if I can't do it? What if I make a mistake? What if nobody likes me anymore? Don't you think that for many of us, this fear of failure was learned in childhood? Tests and grades and talk of winners and losers, measuring value based in performance, conflating behavior with self-worth. I think those are messages I swam in as a child. I learned that failing is shameful, that only goodness and competence make one lovable. But there's a different way. I believe there is a different way that we can learn and teach that it's never the person that's the failure. Don't we believe that each has inherent worth? So failures are simply failed attempts at something, and there's lots of wisdom about why failing is a good thing. You've already heard in the recipe for resilience that Lori read for you that an important ingredient in our resilience is failure, tears of failure. Failure develops grit and perseverance and resilience. Now, I groan at the memes that suggest that challenges only make us stronger. And yet it's true that experiencing failure and getting up again develops resilience. As Samuel Beckett is said to have said, no matter, try again, fail better. Another bit of prevailing wisdom about failing is that it's the primary way that we learn. A mindset of growth embraces the failures that have come when trying to meet challenges. Thomas Edison, presumably before his success with the light bulb, said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Still, I have to wonder how he felt in the moment when once again an idea didn't pan out. He must have felt like the small girl in our story trying to create that most magnificent thing, trying and trying and trying and just getting more and more frustrated. Pundits and gurus would tell us to simply shift our attitude, to offer gratitude for each failing as the lesson that it is, and I get that. I also know that in the moment, feeling failure and then offering gratitude for the learning it provides is not so easy. But if one accepts that failures lead to learning and growth, and on examination, who could deny that experiments lead to learning, then why aren't we better at cultivating cultures and spaces that encourage or even expect failure? There, I think, is the rub. We're sort of failing at allowing for failure. For example, how do you respond, and be honest, when someone in your family tries a new recipe and it's inedible? And you were really hungry? Or when a customer service rep fails to give you the best service? Or when a politician, even someone you voted for, doesn't get a measure passed that they promised to act on? Or when a friend fails to show up when you needed help? You know, I'd like to think that being part of a Unitarian Universalist community is like being in a laboratory for life. Here, guided by our covenants with one another, we should be able to make mistakes as we experiment with being people of love and justice, people who practice kindness and compassion. So here at UUCW, when a leader fails to meet your expectations, how do you respond? When you try something new and aren't as successful as you'd like, how do you feel? How do people respond to you? You know, there's often an expectation that learning should happen outside of what we're doing and that we should come to any task or experience knowing how to do it. You can see how this might handicap our learning and act as a deterrent for anyone to step into a new experience or to take leadership if they're expected to always know already how to do it. So what does a culture that embraces failure and its resulting growth and learning look like? I'm sure there are tons of possible answers to that question. In the case of the ruined dinner, we could celebrate the cook's willingness to try something new and encourage them to try another something new tomorrow and just order pizza. We could reflect on what we've learned from failures as a regular part of our conversations. In the case of a board or staff member who failed at some task, we could say, no matter, try again, fail better. I know for sure that a culture where it is safe to fail won't come into being if we don't courageously move out of what is comfortable, what are the comfortable and known patterns that can turn to criticizing failure or cowering from it, rather than celebrating and learning from it. And it's also true that we can't just hope things to change. We have to proactively change the culture. We have to act. I just listened to Margaret Wheatley promoting a workshop she's holding in December about hopium. Hopium, which Michael Dowd describes as a comforting vision of the future that requires breaking the laws of physics, biology, and ecology, an irrational or unwarranted optimism that promises short-term relief but delivers crushing disappointment and despair when reality inevitably bites. Hopium. Wheatley suggests that hope brings with it despair, that hope and fear are two sides of the same dynamic, and says that turning to hope is a barrier to acting courageously. Hope is our way of not facing reality, she says, saying, oh, it'll get better, or I hope someone else fixes this. The answer, Wheatley says, is instead to strive to see clearly where to act in meaningful ways, to ask, what is worth doing even if I fail? You know, she uses the example of the half-full glass. I don't have an example for you, but you know, a glass, clear glass, water halfway up. You know, do you see it half full or half empty? It's the optimist or the pessimist. That's the familiar story about that glass. But she says a warrior, a person who is willing to act courageously, looks at that glass and said, look, there's water. Who needs it? How can I get it to them? And this is the deep place I got into when digging into the courage to fail. Moral courage is the thing. Courage to do what's right. Courage to do what's worth doing. In the face of fear or peer pressure or social norms or white supremacy culture, moral courage is the courage to do what we must, as dictated by our values and what matters most to us. So even when we don't see immediate rewards, even when we're afraid of failing, the greatest things we do in life require moral courage, making the rightest choice we can in the moment. And again, engaging in this religious community can be of great help in discerning those rightest choices and from learning when it doesn't go so great. I don't suppose it's possible in these times to talk about courage and failing without turning to Brené Brown and her work on daring greatly. Her research into vulnerability is essentially all about the fear of failing, and she speaks of vulnerability not as a weakness. She says that acting from vulnerability is a decision to show up, to let ourselves be seen, and to try even when we don't know if we'll succeed. Brown says that we need to overcome the fear of not being good enough and to practice being uncomfortable in this place. Because if we wait to be perfect, we will sacrifice opportunities and relationships and turn our backs on our own inherent gifts, losing any opportunity to give what we have to the world. Now I know that associating ourselves with failure can bring up shame and anxiety. It's difficult to admit where we're wrong or what we don't know how to do. And yet, without that kind of honesty about our imperfections and failings, there's no room for new understanding or growth. Let's face it, together, life doesn't come with some all-inclusive plug-in that in every situation equips us with all the knowledge needed to succeed. Ongoing learning is what life is all about, and failing is what learning is all about, and having the courage to fail makes learning and a meaningful life possible. It is only in that arena of trying and failing, falling and getting up again that we engage with life. And in that arena, defeat is as necessary, maybe more necessary than victory, because our individual and collective values are always evolving, and as we learn, we understand differently or more deeply what's important, meaningful, and nourishing for us. If we don't fail regularly, we don't grow. We're not able to discern what doesn't work for us, which means we could wake up, say at age 50 or 80 or 95, and realize that our life so far has had little meaning. The young poet Amanda Gorman was asked in a Washington Post interview what one trait is essential to her success. She named courage. She said that having compassion, intelligence, patience, while very important values and traits, all necessitate some kind of bravery. She specifically mentioned having enough courage to be kind and speak up for people, having enough courage to speak our own intelligence to power, and having enough courage to use our voice even when we're terrified. Having the moral courage to do the right thing even if we fail. The courage to step forward even if we fail. The courage to be vulnerable and to be seen even when we feel uncertain. For it is in doing the things that we're afraid we'll fail at, stepping outside of feeling comfortable, that we're able to experience our own worth, to connect with others more authentically, to evolve in our understanding and grow in our values. In failure, we meet the truth of what we need and the truth of what we have to offer. In failure, we're able to connect with all that's possible and to find our place in the family of things. So what's there to be afraid of? May we find courage. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
This is a song by the folk singer Melvina Reynolds, a friend to UU congregations in the 60s and 70s. There are 7 verses, many of which have the same words. As soon as you know it, I'd invite you to sing along with me. I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. Don't mind wearing the ragged breeches, 'cause those who succeed are the sons of bitches. I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. I'll stay down with the raggedy crew, 'cause getting up there means stepping on you. So I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. don't mind failing in this world. Somebody else's measuring scale of win or lose doesn't tell the tale, so I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. Somebody else's definition isn't gonna measure my soul's condition, so I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. Never mind the custom suits, the gentle hearts wear the dusty boots, so I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. Some people ride in a car so fine, others walk on a picket line, so I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. I don't mind failing in this world. Don't mind wearing the ragged breeches, 'cause those who succeed are the sons of bitches. I don't mind failing in this world. What was that? I don't mind failing in this world. One more time. I don't mind failing in this world.
Good morning. I'm Carolyn Wells, and I am here representing UUCW's Split the Plate program, one of outreach and generosity. Each month, we give half of all undesignated offerings to a nonprofit organization to help us live our Unitarian Universalist values and serve our community. Our recipient for October is Neighborhood House of Milwaukee, which provides innovative programs for hundreds of thousands of children, teens, families, and refugees. They are a nonprofit agency with diverse participants, staff, and board who promote full development of individual potential and self-sufficiency. Neighborhood House offers a wide variety of social, educational, and recreational programs to the Milwaukee community. They offer a childhood program with exceptional care that working parents can rely upon. Their school-age youth programs give educational enrichment using the STEM framework and give a safe place for kids to hang out after school. Neighborhood House offers one of the longest-running environmental educational programs, providing science-based education that instills a sustainable appreciation for urban and rural natural resources. Their new food pantry allows participants to select items from a weekly menu of nutritious foods, while regular health support includes an annual health fair and flu immunization events. You can easily see that Neighborhood House offers many programs to meet the needs of all ages. For more information, see the Split the Plate article in the weekly e-news. If you're participating virtually, please go to the UUCW website's Donate tab and select Split the Plate from the menu provided. Or you can text or email your donation today using the information found here. Today, I thank you for your generosity to Neighborhood House of Milwaukee. We now gratefully accept your offering.
So I love this song we're going to sing in closing, Wo Ya Ya. It's number 1020. I love it because it's such an embrace of the unknown and of possibilities, even as it assures us that the motion between uncertainty and moving forward is really the rhythm of life. It tells us that whatever the journey, we know within. Now, the printed music may look a little complicated for those who don't read music. There are a lot of repeats on the second page, but you don't have to know this. Ruben and I will support you, so just go with the flow. So please stand or sit with gusto to sing, join in the singing, and then remain standing for our closing words. Number 1020.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know when, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will.
So take a look around. Offer gratitude for whatever courage, inspiration, comfort, or connection that you found here. Offer gratitude for all the hands and voices that made today possible. Our closing words are those of Jean M. Olson. Go boldly. Go boldly. May you be brave enough to expose your aching wounded, boy. I'm failing. Yay! May you be brave enough to expose your aching woundedness and reveal your vulnerability. May you speak your deepest truths, knowing that they will change as you do. May you sing the music within you, composing your own melody, playing your song with all your heart. May you draw, paint, sculpt, and sew, showing the world your vision. May you write letters, poetry, biography, slogans, graffiti, the great novel, laying bare your words to love and hate. May you love, even though your heart breaks again and again. And until the end of your days, may your life be filled with possibilities and courage. So, taking this flame and all of this morning's experience with us, let us go boldly into the world, filled with courage and willing to fail. Amen.